I'm Lise Leblanc, and today I'm talking about 7 personality types or personality traits that covert narcissists are attracted to and seek out in their potential partners. Common narcissistic traits include grandiosity, a sense of self-importance and entitlement, acting superior, having a desperate need for admiration, validation, and also a lack of empathy towards others. The covert narcissist differs from the overt narcissist in that they tend to exhibit their symptoms in much more subtle ways, often coming across as being vulnerable and in need of help. And this mask of vulnerability can be used as a manipulation tactic. The covert narcissist often uses guilt tripping, passive aggressive tactics, and they create a sense of obligation in those around them as they hold others responsible for making them happy and meeting all of their needs. And they may or may not be doing this consciously or intentionally. Oftentimes, it is a subconscious defense mechanism. And personally, I've found that most covert narcissists, unlike grandiose narcissists or sociopaths, genuinely do see themselves as a victim, and they believe that other people are out to get them or simply don't care about them, and they get very frustrated and hurt when their self-centered needs are not being met, often believing that you're purposely trying to hurt them. Again, never realizing that their narcissistic attitudes and behaviors are soul-crushing, destroying even the most gentle, loving partner. Okay, so let's jump right into the 7 personality traits that covert narcissists are attracted to. Number 1, covert narcissists are attracted to people with high levels of empathy. Highly empathetic people are attuned to the needs and feelings of others, and they often feel compelled to ease the suffering of others. Although having huge amounts of empathy is not a bad thing, it can be detrimental when in the wrong hands. A covert narcissist will quickly learn how to pull on your heartstrings to get whatever they want and need from you, often by making you feel sorry for them or making you feel responsible for their happiness. Over time, you may realize that no matter how much love, support, understanding, attention, validation, comfort, or resources that you provide, it's never enough. Despite all of the time, energy, and money you spend, you will still fail to meet the narcissist's needs or make them happy. Chances are you will get nothing but criticism and disappointment in return. So expecting thanks and appreciation for your empathetic efforts is unrealistic. Instead, expect the narcissist to exploit your empathy. In fact, they often see empathy as a great weakness, and the more you allow them to pull on your heartstrings and manipulate you, the more they see you as weak and the more justified they feel in taking advantage of you. After all, it's not their fault you're naive and allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, and at least that's how they see it. Number 2, covert narcissists are attracted to people pleasers, and there's a few reasons for this. First, people pleasers are easily manipulated because they tend to be very conflict avoidant. So as soon as the narcissist shows disappointment, anger, or any emotional upset, the pleaser will jump into action, trying to move the stars and the moon for them, perhaps never even noticing that they're being manipulated and exploited. Instead, they continue to try harder and harder to keep the narcissist happy, to avoid their bad moods and behaviors. Obviously, this is very appealing to a covert narcissist because it gives them the sense of power and control that they desperately crave. All they have to do is show some disappointment or emotional upset, which they're very, very good at, and voila, they have a very dedicated slave who will give them tons of narcissistic supply while asking for very little in return. Number 3, they are attracted to people with low self-worth. People with low self-esteem tend to seek reassurance, validation, and approval from others. They also tend to blame themselves when things go wrong. So when the narcissist demeans and devalues them, They already have a core belief that what the narcissist is saying is true, and they already think that they deserve such mistreatment. So they easily buy into the narcissist narratives that they are responsible for all of the problems in the relationship, and typically end up working harder and harder to gain the narcissist's approval. The narcissist, of course, exploits this need for validation, using it to maintain control and keep the person with low self-worth reliant on their approval. Number 4, the covert narcissist is attracted to people who are codependent. Codependency can manifest in various ways, but it generally involves a huge imbalance in the relationship where one person, the codependent, prioritizes the needs and desires of the other person to the detriment of their own well-being, resulting in an unhealthy dynamic where the codependent relies on the other person, in this situation the narcissist, for their own self-worth. And the narcissist takes advantage of this dependency, and it leads to the codependent self-sacrificing themselves, going way beyond healthy caregiving, having no healthy boundaries, and tolerating or even enabling the narcissist's destructive behavior in order to play the rescuer role, typically as a way to prove their value and worth, as well as to avoid rejection and abandonment. Being with someone who is sick or in need of rescue may give you a sense of purpose or of security, but it will only further crush the little self-worth that you do have. Oftentimes, people who struggle with codependency were conditioned at a very young age to take on that helper role for a mentally ill or chronically sick parent. And so they can easily fall into this role subconsciously because it's so familiar. Number 5, the covert narcissist is attracted to idealists. So idealists are people who tend to have a positive and optimistic view of human nature and are more likely to see people for their potential rather than for who they actually currently are. For this reason, they are more likely to see the good in people, believing that with the right support or unconditional love, the person can change and reach their full potential and become the best version of themselves. However, this idea is overly optimistic and not realistic when it's applied to someone with narcissistic personality disorder. Personally, I believe people can change, people can improve and become a better version of themselves. But it requires their dedication and effort, not yours. So giving your unconditional love and support to someone who is treating you like garbage in hopes that they will change is not healthy or wise, in my opinion, especially when narcissism is a factor. Number 6, covert narcissists are attracted to highly sensitive people. So these are people who are emotionally sensitive as well as highly sensitive to sensory input from their environment. Because highly sensitive individuals experience deeper emotional reactions and are acutely aware of other people's emotions, narcissists can use this to manipulate and exploit the sensitive person, making them feel like they are walking on eggshells, trying to avoid the narcissist's drama and chaotic emotions that is very upsetting and overwhelming to them. Number 7, covert narcissists may be attracted to individuals who are prone to addiction because it can be easier to create a dynamic where the addicted person becomes emotionally dependent or addicted to that initial love bombing that the narcissist provides. An added benefit is that the narcissist can then conveniently blame all of the relationship problems on the person's addictions, thereby keeping the focus off of themselves. If you are repeatedly finding yourself in toxic relationships, it is important to examine what's going on inside of you that's creating this pattern in your life. As a therapist for over 20 years, I've seen it over and over again, where a person does everything in their power to get out of a toxic relationship, and instead of resolving the deep-rooted issues that got them into this relationship in the first place, they just find a new partner and end up reliving the cycle over and over again. Fixing these deep-rooted issues may not be an easy task, but it is possible. So consider the help of a mental health professional to assist you in breaking the cycle. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about covert narcissism, then click on the link above.